So what do church members think of today's tribute to President Nelson?
News specialist Brian Carlson has been talking to members this morning. He joins us from Temple Square. Brian, what's the sentiment right now?
Well, Brooke and Tamia, from some of those church members I talked to today, they say it gives them a chance to exhale a bit from some of the chaotic events we've had here in Utah just the past couple of weeks. They also thought it was a wonderful way for everyone to come together and remember the prophet they held with such high esteem. Now, from what they saw of today's tribute, including the music, you had the stories about President Nelson, and then the prayers on his behalf were really needed to mourn his passing. While church members I spoke with today recognize there will be messages about President Nelson at General Conference this weekend, this tribute today gives those members time to mourn him for all he's done for them.
It's good for the people that grew up with him, like me, to have something like this to remember him by.
A gentleman like him, who's contributed so much to the church, but also outside the church in his professional life, it is wonderful to remember those accomplishments.
I think any kind of tribute is great, and then the funeral after, I think it's perfect timing.
Now, in some ways, how this played out to them, at least, is exactly what they needed to say goodbye. They say they are looking forward to hearing more about him in the days ahead. So those I talked to today say they really appreciate today's send-off that the church had for President Nelson, and it's a reminder to them that while he may not be here physically, he still is here spiritually, and so is everything that he put in place while he was here. Live here at Temple Square. Brian Carlson, KSL 5 News. Back to you.
Brian, if you'll hang with us, I'm just curious. You know, we've been talking with Carol this morning, reflecting on the broadcast, and I find myself thinking, we keep referencing the time, how nice it was to have time to thoughtfully, in a world that is so fast-paced. It almost seems through your interviews that people slow down when they talk about this man who appreciated the gentle approach to conversation and to connection.
Yeah, and I found that too on the day when we found out that President Nelson passed away. There was so many people who were getting ready for the music and the spoken word, and we were in that position where we were right there as they were walking towards the tabernacle, and I stopped one of the members of the orchestra, and you saw some of that conversation on Sunday, but I stopped one of the members of the orchestra and said, "Hey, do you have a second to tell us how you feel about President Nelson?" And she says, she was late to where she was going to get ready for the broadcast, but says, I have to stop, and just because I owe it to him about how much I feel about him and what he means to me and how he's helped me with my life and my faith. And you could see it gave everyone pause. Just as Carol talked about that story of him pausing when he came into town for those different meetings that he had, the members who he touched felt the same reverence for him.
We felt that through your interviews, Brian. Thank you. And I'll just be thinking of Susan Porter's description of quiet dignity, kind and unhurried. That's a lesson and example we can all take.
Absolutely. Hold on to that. Thank you, Brian.